My dear friends, welcome to Neville Goddard Reddit Success Stories. Today, I want to share with you a story that has inspired me. In fact, is one of my favorite stories from Reddit. I like it so much, I have printed it out, and sometimes I read it many times, but sometimes I still read some parts. So it's very good and I really like it. And I believe it will change the way you think and see the law. Okay, so I don't have the link at the moment, but essentially the name is of this post is The Inner Shift That Changes Everything. Resolving 20 years of health issues with issues using the law. Let me first say, I had been practicing the law for nearly 8 years before I got it. Seriously, for most of this time, all I could muster were the free cups of coffee and parking spots. If you have been in the space where you know the law is real, but aren't creating the progress you desire, I understand your dilemma. Truth is, the answer was always right in front of me, but my willingness to see it was clouded by my perpetual intimidation and fear of my physical reality. Nothing of significance shifted in my physical reality until I committed entirely to two concepts: that what I choose to imagine in my mind is actual, real reality, and two, that the entirety of my physical reality, even the scariest and most intrusive conditions, were and are just illusion and have no significance or relevance on the realness of what I have imagined, which the imagining alone fulfilled my desire. In practicality, this looked like imagining and accepting as truth that I was wealthy and having a blast continually building my financial prowess and net worth, all while in my physical reality I was $400,000 in debt with an income that would never even begin to chip away at that. Was living paycheck to paycheck and was even being sued by a prior creditor. Health-wise, I imagined powerful strength, feeling proud and amazing to be in my body, adventurous, uninhibited, and unendingly well, all while my physical reality was presenting the experience of being 20 years with quite a treacherous and limiting autoimmune illness. I only share some of the physical conditions that existed in my 3D so you can see just how strongly the evidence around me contradicted the wonderful state of being I was occupying in my imagination. The truth is, no matter how much they bark or even bite, the conditions of our physical reality don't matter in the slightest with regards to the actuality of what we imagine. Our physical realities only become our masters because somewhere along the way we agreed they were. If you are ever going to truly create the reality you desire, it's completely necessary to untether and break away from this hypnosis that compels you to believe your physical reality is what's real, controls you, and has an independent authority over you. That's literally the shift that changed 8 years of me getting nowhere. Let's talk about the law real quick. The law is impartial and consistent. It has no reference for good or bad, wanted or unwanted, healthy or unhealthy. It has no mind of its own, and it never blames, tests, blesses, or supersedes you. It simply takes the story you have cultivated in your imagination and gives it back to you in the form of physical experience. Your physical reality is simply the experience of what you have imagined or what states of being you occupy the majority of your time. Often, when we are not creating what we desire, part of our story is I am defeated, scared by, and or powerless against my physical reality. Or this is hopeless. There's no way out. The law is simply, objectively, and literally giving these thoughts back to you to experience. The law doesn't receive what you imagine and ask, are you sure you want this? The law has no regard for what you want or desire. It doesn't care how you feel about what you have created already. It simply receives what you persisted in imagination, i.e., your states of being and the resulting beliefs and thoughts and sets. Coming right up, boss. It makes no difference to the law whether what it produces makes your day or sinks your ship. It's not a God choosing to withhold or provide. You and your imagination are the authority here. But if you're stuck in unwanted cycles and not creating what you desire, then you have given that authority over to your physical reality. You have made it your God, and under this perspective, anything you imagine can only be a pipe dream or wishful thinking at best. If we are continually manifesting the unfulfillment of our desires, it's because we have placed authority in a reality that shows us they are unfulfilled. Take this authority back, fulfill your desires in imagination, embrace your imagination as reality, and remain vigilant and uncompromising in this perspective, regardless what your physical reality has to say about it. In essence, your acceptance of your imagined reality as real must become second to none, and I mean none. Neville states throughout his teachings that we can never become the desired version of ourselves while we continue to indulge in the old self, the version of ourselves which created the unwanted physical reality. He is essentially saying that we can't hold beliefs in two opposite states of being at once. We can't maintain states, beliefs, and thoughts of illness and expect to produce health. Same goes for poverty and wealth, loneliness and love, unworthiness and worth, etc. How can you tell what states you have been persisting in? If you're unsure, take a look at the contents of your life, unwanted health conditions included. Remember, your physical reality has no authority over you. It's just information. Treat it as such. Giving it any more meaning keeps you stuck to it and is certain to keep the physical experience your old self created firmly in place. When I first manifested my autoimmune diagnosis at 17 years old, the doctor told me all the things I wouldn't do and stated I should lower my expectation for wellness in life. This and the many other limiting ideas from medical professionals, peers, and loved ones I had received in the years following became my story, which became my physical experience, and it manifested in some unwanted physical form in every aspect of my life. My physical world became what felt like an ever limited experience of discomfort, failure, frustration, loneliness, self hatred, lack, never enough, etc. Our stories never stay isolated to one subject. And I guarantee your unwanted health conditions are not just the results of how you think about health, but how you think about yourself, your identity, and your relationship to the world in general. My personal story in general was pretty hopeless, defeated, and self-loathing long before my unwanted health condition presented themselves. I will tell you from experience, if ongoing unwanted conditions persist in your reality, it's only because you persist in unwanted states in your mind. Stop allowing them. The old self has to die so the new self can live. I still get awestruck when I recall how quickly things shifted once I drew the line in the sand and decided that 1. My imagined reality was actual reality, and 2. My entire physical experience was just the reproduction of prior states of being and irrelevant to the inevitability of my desired reality, which I had established and persisted in my imagination. You see, a true commitment to this perspective means a true commitment to choosing and being the version of you that you desire, which rather quickly kills off the identities of the old self that created the unwanted. The old self doesn't matter. Right now, you get to be the new self if you choose, and you can place yourself into the states of amazing health, vitality, strength, power, wealth, expansion, opportunity, love, or whatever you desire. Close your senses to the physical conditions around you that mean nothing in regards to that, to what you get to create next, and you don't need their permission to be the new self. If your health struggles cause you pain or really bark at you, don't try to pretend that you don't feel them or notice them. Observe them, and if necessary, obtain relief through the means available to you. But neutralize any authority you have previously given them. The same goes for diagnoses, outlooks, notions about how long something takes to heal, if it can even heal, or limited perceptions. Go through the motions, but unless you want to continue with them, strip them and their limitations of any and all meaning, and go right back to identifying with your imagined ideals. Exist in this identity as often as you can throughout your day. Make it your new ordinary. If you have lived feeling subservient to your physical reality, haven't you had enough? No prognosis or symptoms, regardless of their intrusiveness, perceived permanency, or severity, stand a chance when you have traded in the belief in physical world authority and replaced it with the authority of your inner reality. Commanded by your imagining, your desires fulfilled. The funny paradox is that we only keep unwanted conditions alive in our physical reality because we continue to imagine that they have independent authority and power over us. And thus the law gives it back to us to experience. You can stop this belief now, and your reality will shift. How you get there is up to you, but once you have decided that your imagined reality is what's real, be vigilant and persistent about remaining there. It may feel like you're kidding yourself at first, but it takes persistence to kill off the old self. Persist, persist, persist. If your experience is like mine, you will feel your new self, i.e., the new story, take over internally before you see it physically manifest. You may still observe old unwanted conditions for a time, but you are assured they are on their way out because they just can't belong in the new reality you have imagined. This is where you continue shooting the senses to anything reminding you of your old story and you persist. Let your excuses go. Let your I can'ts go. The moment you believe you are too far gone from anything to change, or perhaps decide my success was only possible because my conditions were easier to fix than yours, you are back in your old story. Our actual physical details are always irrelevant, unless we're going to persist in the old story and keep it alive in our physical experience. Comparisons to anyone or anything outside yourself or anything that undermine your new imagined or actual reality have got to go. You have to believe in the validity of your new self far more than that of your old self if anything is going to change. Again, you have to believe in the validity of your new self far more than that of your old self if anything is going to change. That's essentially it, but I think the following points will help round you out this post. Shame, guilt, and blame. While you embrace that you have created the unwanted conditions of your physical reality, if you experience any shame, guilt, or blame, know these are simply old self emotions arising because you have given meaning to your physical reality. Any notions of these emotions are simply untrue. Remember, the law never cared. It's just physicalized what your imagination handed it. You have done nothing wrong by creating unwanted conditions. No punishment is being doled out, and no penance is needed to dissolve them. Feel free in embracing self as cause. After all, if you create it, you can uncreate it and create something new in its place. Remember, as you authentically live in your wonderful imagined reality, shutting your senses to any part of your physical reality which would deny your imaginings, you are giving the law the new story to create from and to create for you. The state of the wish fulfilled. Keep in mind that wanting it is an entirely different state than having, and desire is entirely different than fulfillment. We don't want what we have, and we don't desire what's being fulfilled. With regards to any struggle because of the authority we previously given our physical realities, we often frame our desires from the state of wanting and not having. A state of wanting to be healed just reproduces more conditions that reaffirm your experience of wanting to be healed. A state of being healthy, energized, strong, vigorous, etc. leads to the experience of these things. The law gives you the physical experience of the state you occupy. You could be anything in your imagination, which is your actual reality. I recommend going right to the state of having or fulfillment versus a state that still involves the unwanted conditions in your story, such as being held, being cured, etc. manifesting techniques. Techniques has or have no actual power. It is the state, the beliefs and thoughts you occupy in your imagination that create. Techniques can be helpful in getting there, but avoid getting hung up on if you're doing X technique correctly. You were born with the innate ability to imagine, and you do it all day long. It's just thinking and feeling. You also know how you most enjoy imagining. At the end of the day, what causes you to feel your desired state as real is correct. If this involves a technique that you enjoy, then great. If not, then great. Personally, techniques feel like homework, whereas just shifting myself into the feeling of my desired state as often as possible feels natural and powerful. I continually practice occupying my desired state frequently during my everyday life, and it was, and it is, still so enjoyable. The desired state became my default being and soon after my physical reality. Taking action. Controversial perhaps, but I firmly believe from experience no action needs to be taken in your physical reality in order to create what you desire. Reality isn't created through physical action. It's created through becoming what you desire in imagination, which is your actual reality. The only action required of you is to live in your wish fulfilled while knowing that is your true reality. The how is the law's job, and it doesn't need your help. It will clearly call you into action if that action is to be a part of your bridge of incidents, and it will feel entirely natural to you. It doesn't need you to go on an expedition to figure out how to manipulate physical reality to create what you want. That's what you were doing before when you viewed physical reality as having independent authority over you. How was that going? The law only asks you give it the state of being or story you want to create and persist in this state so that it becomes your inner or actual reality. This means that no prescription, remedy, course of treatment, or physical thing is going to cause your health, strength, and well being. In and of themselves, they are meaningless. It's only through choosing health and wellness in your imagination, your actual reality, and persisting in those states that you will truly create them in your experience. I'm not advocating for stopping the physical world treatments or things you have currently doing to obtain relief. As you live more and more from the perspective that your imagined reality of health and wellness is your actual reality, and inclinations to involve yourself in what you have been doing may continue or they may shift as your bridge of incidents calls you to the physical fulfillment of your desires. That's a personal decision no one outside of you needs to be involved in. But please, don't force anything. As you identify more and more with the states of being healthy, well, powerful, driving, etc., while shutting senses to the physical unwanted, you will create the experience of resources finding you, doors opening, information and opportunities coming your way, or you may just feel and see improvement. I had all of the above happen over time. Take it all in an easy stride, and now it's simply you having the experience of being healthy and well because you have occupied these states. Remember, because we are now viewing imagination as reality, there's no action to take. You are already healthy, well, strong, etc. Because you have imagined such, and that is actual reality. You are simply allowing your physical reality to catch up. Involving others in this process. You were never intended to need anyone's or anything's permission to create the reality you desire. Believing otherwise is just an extension of believing that your physical world has authority over you. But we have changed that now, right? By appointing your imagined reality as actual reality, you are simply giving the law permission to produce it for you. It will. If your conditions have you heavily involved with medical professionals, caretakers, or you rely on others, remember, these are the creations of the old self. Continue playing along and go through the motions detached from their significance or meaning. No one needs to know if you're shifting internal states in order for you to successfully create your new reality. In fact, I would stay quiet about it unless you completely trust someone who will understand. What you will notice as you identify with your new self in imagination as actual reality, along with your improving physical states, those around you will naturally shift to seeing you as you're seeing yourself. Healthy, strong, powerful. And they will be thrilled for you. Others that have a specific involvement, like doctors, caretakers, etc., will make their exit at the right time. When it comes down to it, I didn't actually cure or heal any of my unwanted health conditions. The notion of even needing to be healed or cured was part of the old self, who I killed off. I simply created a new self where I was healthy, well, thriving, and all sorts of other desired states of being. I persisted in these states in my imagination and let that be real enough until it was real in my physical reality. Almost none of this newly desired physical reality manifested in ways that I could have replicated with my own physical force or action, and it did not occur as expected. Often, I'd realize a new aspect of my desired reality had been created under my nose. It was fantastic, and it still is. Creating new reality is the stuff of life, literally. So, you get to define what that ideal state is for you, and persist, persist, persist. Honestly, you will never be the same when you experience yourself moving mountains. And now, before we go into the silence, let's just do a TLDR. So, nothing of significance shifted in my physical reality until I committed entirely to two concepts: that what I chose to imagine in my mind is actual, real reality, and two, that the entirety of my physical reality, even the scariest and most intrusive conditions, were and are just illusion and have no significance or relevance on the realness of what I have imagined, which the imagination alone fulfilled my desire. If you're ever going to truly create the reality you desire, it's completely necessary to untether and break away from this hypnosis that compels you to believe your physical reality is what's real, controls you, and has an independent authority over you. That is literally the shift that changed 8 years of me getting nowhere to dissolve 20 years of ongoing health issues from my experience. This is, guys, this is one of my favorite posts on Reddit, and I love it very much, and I believe it's true. So let's start our imagining and let us go into the silence. See you next time.